All right, good evening, Speed Gaming 2, and welcome to some more Week 2 of Link to the Past Randomizer League. We have Fad Keys, which we can explain in just a second, but my name is Tracy M, and with me today is Dane. How you doing, Dane?
I'm doing well, ready to watch this league game. I'm a big fan of these key sanity modes we've got going this week.
And today we have Boomer Friendly, represented by Scrub Casual, versus Shaktool's Digging Game, represented by Hitaka. Kind of an interesting matchup. We have two Final Four teams. Only one of these teams was a Final Four in the Invitational League, that is Shaktool's Digging Game. Boomer Friendly, actually a finalist in the Open League, punching their ticket into the Invitational.
Yeah, but as you can see in the little parenthetical numbers next to the team names, Shaktool's Digging Game, they had a split in their first week, earning 3 points by going 1-1. And they were playing against team New Swagga Jackson. And Boomer Friendly, you see with the 0, they unfortunately went 0-2 against Mogliacci last week. So looking to get a rebound this week. So we're getting a Sank start from both runners with Bombos Medallion in that first chest.
Looks like, are they both gonna? Yeah, looks like they're both gonna do a.
This tells me that both these runners watched an unnamed early race where there was some farming last locations or earlier.
Nice. Don't like it when that happens. I don't know if you really need to do this that often, although in Key Sanity, you're much more likely to have this payoff. But since they're both doing it, no one's going to lose any time over it, so.
Yeah, because a lot of times, like, it's mainly Zora that's the big check that you have to get to, because you'll normally find either bombs or rupees and through either a tree pole or enemy drops or chests, and then you can get through the early game. But these runners playing it nice and safe, and since they're both doing it, it'll work out fine for both of them.
And a bottle in Link's house, so we'll get to hit the bottle vendor when they go into Kakariko.
Yeah, and so you mentioned earlier this is the Fad Keys mode. Want to give the runners who are not familiar with this mode a little rundown on it?
Well, it's 80 keys with one pretty major exception. Castle Tower is going to be vanilla because we hate looking for Castle Tower keys, which does a couple of things. I kind of like and dislike it at the same time. I won't miss the late Castle Tower key hunt, but I also don't like a vanilla Agate Tower in this case because it's just 5 minutes of no progression and not a whole lot of interesting things happening. So kind of a double-edged sword there, but the missing the Castle Tower key hunt, that's going to be kind of a nice thing. So I'm sure the runners won't miss it.
Yeah, we see those boots on the race game, so will be a very exciting item to get within the first 2 minutes. But yeah, like you're mentioning, it does have some other changes. Like the main reason you do this mode is because the Castle Tower small keys are some of the most annoying items to hunt, because like sometimes you can eliminate Ganon's Tower for having any items. Like if you just already have the big keys for the pendants that you need, and it's not something like Turtle Rock, you might just be able to go mode GT. But Castle Tower, you can never do that. They could always be in GT, so they're annoying to hunt. But the other thing is it makes Aga Dark World access seeds much more common if the Castle Tower small keys are vanilla.
Okay. So yeah, it looks like we're going to have a bit of a restart in just a second. So everything's under control. We'll get you back up in just a second. But yeah, I mean, talking about those Castle Tower keys, yeah. I mean, there's literally 215 out of 216 locations that they can be. Like the only place they can't be is on. Yeah.
But yeah, this mode, it's definitely a bit of a mixed bag with the Castle Tower small keys being vanilla like that.
Okay, looks like we're getting back there. Unfortunately, we are missing what is in the well.
Yeah, maybe we'll just get speed on Scrub Casual's side, depending on when this sync comes back in. We'll have a nice adventure, and it's always harder with Quick Swap these days, because normally you would just wait for a menu to happen, and then you can see what the runners got. But
Quick Swap Quick Swap is not kind to commentators, even less kind to our trackers. Akihish, our tracker today, shout outs to him.
Yeah, it's not going to be. It's already hard enough for one person to do key sanity like this, and then top it off with missing out on 10 checks in the early game. It's going to be rough. So definitely give all your energy in chat to our tracker.
Oh, here we go. A small key to Turtle Rock, and even worse in the key sanity mode.
Yeah, because it's going to be kind of hard if like we just missing one small key. You're going to have to really look at those menus. Might be a good soul in chat to screenshot a menu and cross-reference the keys.
It's Big Key to Skull Woods, one of our least favorite big keys, but it's nice to have that before we do Skull Woods. And that sword also really nice to go with the boots.
Yeah, really nice to have both of those in combo, because sometimes you can get, especially in these keys modes, sometimes you'll have really low hearts, and you will, if you're just dashing around, you can easily take unfortunate overworld deaths.
And of course, we have our maps and compasses. A new feature in, actually, it's in the randomizer in general, but it's a little different in key sanity mode. So if you notice, last week when we didn't have key sanity, we had the C's and the P's to represent maps and compasses. A little bit different this week because you actually have to have the map for the P or the C to show up.
Yeah, and
that is a new feature.
It can oftentimes make it so you don't check your map as much if you're just getting a map here and a map there, because you just end up having to walk into the dungeon and find out anyway, especially in all dungeons like this. Though it is still useful, even in all dungeons, to know where your crystals and pendants are. For 1, pedestal; 2, you've got the red crystals; and 3, you can eliminate if progression can be in GT or not. Because like if Turtle Rock is a pendant, then sometimes you'll have like a Turtle Rock small or Ice Rod or Turtle Rock big in GT.
Yeah, in fact, in general, I definitely find it less important to be checking that map in key sanity, or sorry, in all dungeons, but not completely, missing. You do want to do it at some point for some things.
Yeah,
you could also. I often in key sanity modes when I don't have maps, I often check my menu to see if I have red crystals right after I get a crystal. So.
Yeah, and then we've got you can of course talk to the bomb vendor in the dark world to learn where your red crystals are, or Sahasrara will tell you where the green pendant is. So when you get those 3 for free, and then you just randomly get some by checking into dungeons and seeing the C's and the P's, you can really just go through without doing any map checks.
Okay, we do seem to have a lamp and a glove, so Hitaka's going to take that straight to the mountain here. Not a whole lot we can do here, but getting that save and quit is really nice. So at the very least, he'll get the 1 check here. It is in logic, and we'll see if he also chooses to check Spectacle Rock.
Yeah, this makes a ton of sense. But that's one of the good parts when you do the south route to Kakariko, is that if you get a glove and a lamp, you can just save this old man as a basically free save and quit. You might not even see Hitaka go up to Spectacle Rock. He could still, but you might want to just hold off till you get the mirror, maybe over in Mini Molar here or something.
Yeah,
but with the boots, it's not bad.
Just 5 rupees from the old man. Looks like he's going to continue on, though.
And yeah, so with these, the Castle Tower small keys vanilla, it's kind of, this early game is still kind of like the, what you're used to with the non-key sanity modes, where you're kind of weighing between Aghanim seeds or non-Aghanim seeds. And we see that Moon Pearl up on top of Spectacle Rock. So that's one piece of the puzzle. So we probably will be getting the mirror.
Yeah, mirror is not going to be too deep if it's going to be getting the Moon Pearl. Might even be here in back of Escape as Scrub checks that. Yeah, we'll never know what that middle chest is.
I thought they were both money.
Yeah, they were both money. I actually have the restream up because we're hiccuping a little bit more than the restream.
Yeah, so we got just the first Misery Mire small key is nice, but you're gonna get one by the time you get over to Mire.
You don't. I mean, Misery Mire small keys. You don't actually need any of them to do any of the dungeon, but it does take 3 keys to put that left side in logic. So it's more of a luxury to have 1, and then you don't really want any more after that. Though it does kind of point you to certain logical progressions.
Yeah, absolutely. The 1 is nice for making the route easier, and then the 3 they're just useful for knowing if it's in logic or not.
Right, let's see what Hitaka decides to do. Scrub Casual in the Uncle area. Maybe going to do Escape. We have not seen South Shore yet from either runner.
Yeah, I think with the boots, they might want to hold off and try to get to Zora, especially because you know that you're not going to be able to sequence break. At least Hitaka knows you're not going to be able to sequence break the waterfall with the Moon Pearl. You're going to have to use the boots water walk.
Yep. Boots water walk is better anyway. It's faster.
Well, yeah, but sometimes you'll see runners just water walk just to hobo and not sequence break all the way over there, depending. Not often when you have a glove, though. Because it's kind of like, yeah, it's definitely faster to water walk than fake flipper, but it's even faster to water walk to hobo than it is to water walk to the Zora area. And we get a bottle. So there's our second bottle. I don't know if they got the bottle before they were able to check Sick Kid or not, because that was before.
Oh, no, there was one in Link's house.
Oh, yes, there was that bottle in Link's house. And now we got Mini Moldorm Cave over on Hitaka's side. Hopefully this will give these runners a little bit something to go off of right now, because right now it's kind of unclear what the next step is this seed.
A little interesting that Scrub decided to do Dark Cross before doing the rest of the escape. Oh, nice, a hook shot. And he already has that save quit spot, so he'll be able to take that hook shot pretty quickly.
Yeah, definitely interesting. Also getting the flippers, which that makes me want to water walk to Hobo instead of Zora even more, because you can't even do the full water walk to.
Yeah, you're gonna because the shallow water around the little portal is gonna ruin your water walk. Now, hitting crabs is not exactly ideal at this point. Don't want to be hitting those crabs. 2 hearts of damage, and one of the most dangerous enemies in the overworld early on. And you just have that green mail.
Yeah, luckily these runners were all the way up to 6 hearts already. Sometimes you'll have to come over here with 3 hearts and no weapon.
Yeah, still half a heart left, and just 20 rupees.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure we'll see him go for the water walk. You're going to be really careful because, yeah, that half a heart, you can't afford to take a fall.
Thank goodness for that sword along with those boots. But yeah, I'm going to guess he's just going to hobo because, yeah, like you say, can't actually... It's 246 rupees, not really anywhere close to Zora money. Also going to check the Lake Hylia Island item, which is just bombs. Shout out to the SMZ3 runner remembering to check that, because in that game it's literally your first check, so we have to remember to check it later.
And we saw that the front of Escape was pretty empty over there from Scrub Casual, so nothing interesting in there.
And on the hobo, missed it, but we'll see. I'll see it on the... Okay, then we're good.
Yes, and then Hitaka is going to go up to that mountain. It makes a lot of sense with the hookshot. Paradox Cave is just such a dense location, having 7 items on its own. Plus, we also got Spiral Cave with the hookshot and boots is not even that bad. And
if we find Mirror, we can get that Moon Pearl, and if we find Hammer, we can do Hera. And with boots plus hookshot, we could do Hera even without the big key.
Yeah, and you're kind of expecting the mirror to show up soon. It could be really trolly and be on the pyramid ledge or something, but you really expect it to be somewhere in this part of the early game, and there's just not that much left. We've got like a Gina left, we've got Eastern and Saha, and then we've got this.
I mean, to be fair, though, I mean, if it ends up being an Aga seed for Dark World, or for, we still only have the glove. Not as big a deal as usual, because at some point we're gonna have to kill him anyway.
Yeah, I mean the main thing that I don't like about Aga seeds in this mode is that this mode can often be rather open, and like you have the option to dip dungeons or not. Whereas when it a lot of times when it ends up being an Aga seed, like you just have to go dip Eastern to get something.
Yeah, and the Aga seeds tend to be a little more common since we already have two of the necessary items to do the Aga play early.
Yeah, so it doesn't give as much room for variance if both runners are forced to dip Pod and Eastern instead of having to make the choice. But we did find that mirror in Paradox Cave, which kind of makes a lot of sense given how many locations were left for it. And also Cane of Samaria, which is very nice to get early just because you like to have that for Turtle Rock, Misery Mire, and even Ice Palace.
Even Pod it has some really nice uses for it, and Skull Woods.
Yeah, it's just a nice little convenient item. It doesn't lock too many chests early because the things it locks are in Misery Mire and Turtle Rock,
Turtle
which
Rock,
themselves require so many things to get to, but it's got a lot of nice uses.
Well, and in certain specific key layouts, you can have it locking cold stare, but we just ignore that.
Yeah, it's kind of even hard to keep track with. Did a key end up being behind Cold Stare in this Key Sandy seed?
Yeah, and in Key Sandy, a small key on Cold Stare would be very unusual.
Well, I think it would be more likely to have something on Cold Stare that eventually leads to a nice balance.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so Hitaka is going to take that mirror, get over and get that Moon Pearl, and then check out Tower of Hera. So with the hook shot, we could see a Hera pot glitch just to get to the boss of Tower of Hera, which he can defeat with that sword, but we'll have to miss out on the big chest.
We're also going to be missing out on the basement because we don't have the small key either. So we're going to get 4 items, but yeah, not going to be able to full clear the dungeon, which is always a little scary, but Key Sandy modes are full of that sort of thing. Definitely lots of double dipping in your Key Sandy modes.
Yeah, and I think in this sense, it just makes way too much sense to go through and clear because you already want to come up here for these 2 items, right? So it's not that much extra time to kill Moldorm. And if you were going to have to come back here with a big key, you were going to have to double dip anyway. So why not just beat Moldorm now and hope you don't have to double dip?
And also having boots and having the boots for first of all more different setups if you're a spin speed setup person, but being able to do that bonk to set up for the bomb is really nice.
Yeah, I personally really like that.
Or you could just not use that. I'm a fan of bonking. Apparently Hitaka lets you just figure out the location, but that works too.
Yep, there's so many different ways to set up the Hera pot, and Hitaka gets it first try, so whatever works for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It looks like Scrub Casual is going to basically follow in Hitaka's footsteps. I'm sure he'll make the same sort of play once he sees the Moon Pearl in the mirror.
Yeah, no doubt. Small key to Skull Woods. Another one of those small keys we don't technically need any of, although logically it takes 3 to get to Mothula. But does make routing a lot easier. You don't have to worry about falling down holes to do the front of the dungeon. Just having that one extra Skullwood small key, because you don't have a guarantee of the Skullwood small in the pinball room anymore.
Nope, you can get locked into Skullwoods.
And not quite, but pretty close to. No, wait, this is basically a vanilla Moldorm.
Yeah, you can use the hook shot for some cheese if you like, but basically the same sort of fight.
Yeah, I mean, we got boots and we got the fighter sword, so.
And those boots really do make a difference if you know how to dash through Moldorm.
Yep. Hitaka's really not much, to my knowledge, not much of an NMG player. His teammates both run NMG, but he's less so. So let's see, what's that? Big key to Eastern. Oh, that's a good big key, right? Oh, yeah, we got the bow, so we can go ahead. That's a really good big key.
That's a phenomenal set of events there. You get the green pendant before you go over to Saj Rawl's hut, and the Eastern Palace big key.
I know, right?
In a seed, and this is a seed where you're probably going to have to dip Eastern, so this could prevent.
Yeah.
Like, this is most likely a logical double dip if there's progression in Eastern, and we still need a hammer or another sword or a cape to get anywhere else in the seed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that
worked out really well for our runners.
Yeah, I would be very happy that a couple years ago, before Herapod existed, this seed would have been significantly worse than it is today.
Oh, for sure. And Hitaka, no surprise, can head straight over to the Eastern area.
Yeah, this is no-brainer. You full clear Eastern, you get 4 items out of Sahaj Rawl's hut, and then you'll probably just get Dark World access in some capacity, whether it be through Aghanim or through the hammer, and then you just go into Dark World. Third
sword, cape, hammer, glove, one of those things. And one of the useless maps in the game, because Hyrule Castle map is completely useless. Hey, there's that hammer.
Yeah, I think with the hammer and mirror, maybe you even just peek on over to Pod first, and then, or at least you get the mirror portal over there, and then after you do Eastern, you can go into Pod.
With only 1 small key, not sure I love that idea, but I mean, it's certainly an option.
Yeah, I only like it because they already have both the mirror and
with the mirror it makes a lot more sense with the mirror.
Yeah, I don't think you do it with if you don't have that mirror. But it's definitely understandable to not want to do it because yeah, with just the one key, you can't do that much. Though pod keys are known to be in pod.
Yeah, well, actually, not only are they known to be in pod, it's not unusual for them to be in pod. Unfortunately, Scrub Casual not doing Hera yet. Guess he's gonna do it now. I'm not a fan of the play to check Saha before going up to Hera.
Yeah, I think especially because you know the Moon Pearl's there, so you know you're going to have to go there. And
Yep.
there is a small chance that either the Hera small or the Hera big are on Sasha, but this is just so early, it's not that likely that either that will happen.
Yeah, because that hammer ended up being the real progression. And, you know, he has Dark World access now with that hammer. He could have just gone straight there. Might have taken him away from Hera for a while if that had happened, but he's going in doing it now.
Yeah, it's really hard to not go in here when there's 2 free items plus you can Hera pod, and you got to come here to the Moon Pearl anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point. You can't just go into the Dark World. You got to go get that Moon Pearl first. Don't want to do the classic, I've seen the item, therefore I have the item.
Yeah, you know, that happens quite often, especially with the Desert Palace big key on the torch.
Way too much for any of us to want to admit to. And there's another pod small key. You can actually do a lot with 2 pod small keys, so we might see Hitaka go into pod.
And we see Scrub Casuals going for that spin speed setup, having a bit of trouble, but got able to get it pretty quickly. And that's the good thing about that setup is that the failures are very, very fast. So I find that even if I fail 5 times, it's still faster than doing the bomb setup.
And we did see an Ice Rod in the Eastern Big Chest, so no Ice Rod hunt today, thankfully.
Yeah, that could have been a pretty buried Ice Rod, given where the Eastern Palace big is. We have no idea when we'll get that Tower of Hera big, but they just have it right now. Though this mode is known for having many different Ice Rods, you could have like any random big key be your Ice Rod.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm also, not only is the green pendant from Hera good, just getting your pendants in this mode early is great because I want to eliminate GT for progression. Mm-hmm. So if you find out you already have the big keys to all your pendants, or you just have all the pendants, you're feeling pretty good in this mode.
And a small key to Swamp, that's a big one.
Yeah, especially looking at the things these runners have. We've already got a hammer, flippers, mirror, Dark World access, and hook shot, so you can just go in there and do everything but the big chest. And that's another place where that Eastern Palace big key is really good because you might want to dip Eastern if you get the hammer out Saha's hut if you don't have that big key already, and then you don't have the Swamp Palace small for a while, and who knows, maybe that's some sort of progression given how early it is.
And Hitaka, well aware of his money situation, wants to grab these 90 rupees to get himself closer to Zora money, among other things.
Yeah, you got to worry about both Zora and Pod, and when you have the mirror like this, and you know you can check Catfish and Zora, you have mirror and flippers like this, it's really free to do that sort of comboing of checks.
It makes Catfish a lot less of an bad one-off check if you can combine it with the rest of the Zora area.
And that's one of the things about these sort of all dungeons Kisanity modes is that you're going to be doing a lot of the game. You're not going to be making as many skips. You're going to be focusing more on efficiency rather than skips. So something like Catfish, which you might just hope to skip in a non-Kisanity mode, you're not going to be thinking, oh, I'm going to skip Catfish this seed because there's just so many things you need to find. It's much more likely he has something.
In fact, this is really unfortunate. Scrub going into Swamp right now, it looks like. Doesn't have that small key.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just like a little. Sometimes you have a little bit of mind farts where you forget. Oh, I forgot that I need the Swamp small to get in.
Yep, it happens. And it's a little more unfortunate in that if he had just gone to Eastern, you would have gotten it, no trouble whatsoever.
And we see Hitaka gets a crystal from Eastern Palace. We don't know if it's a red crystal or not. We'll have to wait for a map check or something.
See where he heads to.
And with him mirroring that quickly, I don't think he made the mistake. He didn't walk up to the door and get off. So maybe he's just trying to combo that in with Hype Cave.
I think he wanted to check that first chest. I mean, It can have an item there. I mean, it was a piece of heart, so I mean, it was technically an item. It can have something good, and it could technically be the small key. That doesn't happen very often, but you know, vanilla items do happen.
Yeah, the Swamp Small Key being vanilla would have been absolutely huge there because they already were able to clear it, and that's the one, like, that would be a pretty late location to find that item because you just don't want to go in there until you have the Swamp Small.
I mean, really curious to see if Ataka decides to just go in and full clear Swamp right now.
Yeah, because there isn't really any other great dungeon options. Like, yeah, you're going to leave behind the Swamp Palace Big Key, which is a big chest, which is a little bit annoying. But, like, your other options are Thieves Town Front, which you can't do the back of. And then you've got the same thing with Skullwoods. You can't do the back of that. So it looks like the best sort of dungeon option. But then you could always just go to Village of Outcasts anyway.
Yeah, always be clearing dungeons. That's what I've heard. And in all dungeons, it doesn't matter what kind of dungeon.
Yeah, and it even is more so with this Key Sanity. Like, one of the reasons you like to put off Swamp Palace is because you want to skip left side. But in all dungeons, Key Sanity, it's not as often that you're going to be in a situation where skipping left side makes sense because you're going to need you'll come here really late and still need 2 big keys.
Yeah, the left side is also going to be guaranteed to be items, which is not the case when you're when it's not Key Sanity.
And I think that was another Palace of Darkness small key over in the K45, so we're getting a little bit up there with 3. 3 is a pretty nice number to have there, because then you can do the whole backup pod if you're willing to risk finding the big key before when you have 0 smalls.
Yeah, 4 allows you to full clear it if you don't want to ever open that front door, which is, you know, I don't blame people for wanting to open that. Ideally, you want to have at least 5. Although 6 is logically what you need. Ooh, a fire rod. That's Swamp. Sorry, that's Skull Woods as well. That Hitaka will be able to do.
Yeah, so this chain of dungeons keeps on giving because now after Swamp Palace, you got a pretty straightforward play of going up to Skull Woods, and then you got to expect sometime after. You'll probably end up getting like your mitts or something in Skull Woods, Thieves Town, Village of Outcasts, and then you'll have even more dungeons you can do.
Yeah, and you can even check the big chest in Skull Woods. So you actually get to full clear. Swamp, we're not quite going to full clear because no big key. Swamp, one of the few dungeons where we don't even logically need a big key. Skull Woods, ironically, being the other one. And of course, Hera and Ice being the logically needed big keys, but not really. Although Hera, not in today's game, but can if the hookshot's in the wrong spot, can not allow you to break around that big key.
Yeah, sometimes Ganon gets tired of Herapot and puts the hookshot in the Tower of Hera big chest.
Or on Moldorm. Really, any of those upper locations would be behind the would stop you from doing Herapot, and it does happen. Okay, just 20 rupees in our second check. Scrub gonna do some other flipper checks.
Yeah, probably gonna walk out of doing like the opposite way. You normally see them walk up to that portal and then you decide to swim.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of dropping off that ledge and mirroring from that little circle. I think that circle is there for a reason to clue the new player in that maybe there's something under the bridge in the other world there.
Yeah, it's kind of common knowledge to anyone who plays games now to always look under waterfalls and bridges, but maybe in 1991 it wasn't quite as common knowledge.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Because I played this game I guess more like 1992, because I think that's when it was the US release, but yeah. I was definitely around for that, so. And no internet to help me out. Well, the internet existed, but not in its anywhere near what it is today.
Yeah, you had to rely on the Nintendo Power or that one kid at your school that was really good at video games. All right, so Scrub Casual making his way over to Eastern Palace areas. This should be pretty nice. We'll get our first look at the Palace of Darkness, and he'll get that Swamp Palace small key. So you feel a little bit bad because he didn't get to get that early, but all in all, he didn't lose too much in terms of efficiency by putting it off just a little bit, because he also will have the extra pod smalls, which could swing the other way for him as well.
Oh, small key to desert. That could be something. Small key to desert's really nice. It's one of my favorite small keys to get, because Desert Palace has this little issue of being able to steal the small key. from the back. Now, in an all dungeons mode, or if Desert Palace is a pendant, or a crystal, I should say, I'm not a huge fan of that. I kind of like it better as a pendant. But in this case, we won't have to, at least Hataka won't have to worry about it.
Yeah, definitely. You can always worry about your opponent stealing that small key in the other modes. But in this game, yeah, if you have to beat the boss, it doesn't happen as much. But it is nice because you just get 2 free. It's basically just 2 items with that Desert Palace Small.
Once we have access to Desert, which of course we need a few more items: the book or a glove and a flute.
Kataka getting to show off another use for that cane and making the diver down. The diver down, you can do it with bombs as well, but with the cane, it's pretty easy. Oh, and I didn't even notice that Thieves Town Small was over in Eastern.
Yeah,
that's another really good item to get, because that's another one of those logically required small keys that just gives you, it's kind of like the Ice Palace big key or the Tower of Hera big key, where it's logically required, but it only gives you 1 check and you can beat the dungeon without it.
Yep. You know, what I like to call fetch quest keys. Thieves Town Small, if you get it after you do Thieves Town, is definitely one of those fetch quest keys. I also put Swamp Big and Skullwoods Big and the aforementioned Ice and Hera.
Yeah, and of the fetch quests, I think the Thieves Town Big is my least favorite. I will never get back to that before the last location.
Yeah, I kind of agree, especially since it's not even just the small key that can block it. Even in non-key sandy modes, you can get blocked by the hammer not being available. And of course, we're getting menu boss today from Hataka. He's got to be careful here. He's got down to 3 hearts. He does have 2 red potions, though. Wouldn't be surprised to see him pop one of those if need be.
Yeah, you can also use the double with the fire sword. You can go for the double spins on it, but its timing is pretty tight. Looks like Hataka's just more comfortable with the hammer fight.
Yeah, I like to use the spins, even though the way I do is probably not optimal. I just hate the menuing so much.
I mean, it does give us a good time to see what they actually have, especially with that Kakariko outage.
Yeah, there you go. Our tracker, our Akuhish, will be able to catch up. Shout out to him.
The hammer jump and the menu boss, they are good sources of learning what the runners actually have.
Yeah. Okay, gonna finish off with the fire rod. Didn't have to use one of those potions, so that still has those 2 reds.
And learning that Swamp Palace is a crystal. In all that menuing, I didn't check to see if the crystal already
yeah,
had
I didn't either. Yeah, I didn't even think about it, but yeah, that would have been a good call.
For me as a runner, I would check to see if I have red crystals now. Okay, he has at least 1, because once your unknown number of crystals is 2 or more, or you already know you have 1, then you want to check to see if you already have 2 now.
Yep, absolutely. Unfortunately, we don't know whether that was Eastern or... It looks like... Is that marked as red at Eastern? Maybe someone did a map check that we missed.
Yeah, they're both in logic, so it doesn't matter too much at this point. If Tower of Hera had been a red crystal, then that would be more telling, because that's not in logic yet. Because even though the Eastern Palace Big is out of logic, the Swamp Small was not locked by the Eastern Palace Big. It was locked by the lamp. All right, so we'll probably get to see Scrub Casual give us our first look at Palace of Darkness. I'm always interested to see what's in here, because with 3 keys, you can do the whole back basically. If you can, except you won't be able to do the big chest, and he might not risk the harmless hallway. Yeah,
he can. Yeah, with 2 keys, if you want to, even if you open the front door, you can get all the way to the back. There's lots of options here. With the bow, we can just do the right side. Of course, it is several loops around if you want to avoid opening that. Going to avoid opening that main door.
Yeah, I've seen the meta shift towards you just don't do 4-key full clear anymore. I don't see very many runners do it. There are some situations where it makes sense, like if you come in here with 0 keys and you already do a bunch of the interior, then maybe doing it again might make sense.
Oh, there's that Ice Palace big key.
Yeah, and actually, I'd actually be pretty happy to find that because with the loadout that they have, or at least what he'll have once he gets the fire rod out of well, I guess he already has Bombo, so you don't even really need it. But Ice Palace is like, once you get the mitts, that's like a pretty good play to go do.
Yeah, it's again, having those fetch quest keys, and Ice Palace Big Key is definitely a fetch quest key. Before you go into their respective dungeons is really nice. And it looks like Hataka is going to the Dark World from the south, and so this might be his play over to Pod as well. Maybe gonna check the ledge on the way, or maybe he's gonna go and do. Let's see, he's got enough money. He might be doing catfish into Zora area.
Yeah, you could definitely see that because you might want to just see if you can fish out a couple of extra pod smalls before you go over there.
There's the Hera Big Key.
Yeah, I don't think you feel too bad about that because like the Herapod just made too much sense. And if you have to go back up there for something like Spike Cave or Dark Death Mountain or Ether Tablet, you can just knock that out really quickly.
Yeah, we did find the Hera Small on Hataka's side, so, you know, it's 2 checks now and not just 1. So if you decide to go, you know, next trip up the mountain, you can choose to do the 2 checks if you want to.
And we got to see one of those cool Canis Maria tricks in Pod really quickly on Scrub Casual side. You got to use the Pog clip where you dash through the pegs when they're upward.
Oh, and Hataka can take this opportunity to do the castle. Unfortunately, we know that this is nothing. He doesn't know that.
Yeah, it's just nice to be able to route it in with the pyramid walk, though, because
Yep,
like you're
absolutely.
probably not going to skip it.
He does get that skull with small key. Like we said, nice to have those. At least one of those.
And there's the book over in the Harmless Hellway. So Scrub Casual did elect to go in and use that last small key on the Harmless Hellway, which definitely makes sense. If you have the big key, you beat Helmasaur here. But without the big key, you figure, okay, I'll just get another small before I get the big key.
Yeah, who knows when you're actually going to get the big key, and you are going to get more pod smalls. There's 6 of them.
Yeah, you sometimes have pretty bad seeds where if pod's a pendant, you have 2 small keys in GT, but with 3, you gotta figure that there's not going to be 3 in GT or something silly like that. And also with Scrub Casual map checking, I can tell Eastern was the red crystal.
Yeah, and in fact, he hasn't done swamp yet, and he's got a red crystal. So there you go. Ooh, didn't quite get the hammer jump there, unfortunately.
Yeah, and this trick is much more important in Key Sandy than in non-Key Sandy because it saves a key. And I think that bomb was he was a pixel too high on that bomb.
Yeah, there are a couple of key layouts where doing this trick is really, really useful for normal modes. But yeah, it's super powerful in Key Sandy modes. It's what allows you to say, I'm only going to get 5 keys instead of 6 keys before I full clear this dungeon.
All right, if he didn't mess it up with that left, I don't know. If Island looked good, he moved a little bit left there, and I don't know if that.
Yeah, and the fact he's coming from the bottom, it is possible. Like you can get the Ancilla something or another mixed up and screw up if you're coming from the top, depending on what you did in the other rooms. But that shouldn't happen from the bottom.
Yeah, like if the top Helmasaur drops a fairy, then your hammer jump is going to fail until you go down. Yeah, I don't know.
That last one didn't look good at all.
No, you can't get it when you place the bomb downward like that.
But he can go in and try again.
Yeah, and I don't blame him for noping out now because you're probably going to have to do it again with the big key anyway. It will be very unfortunate if there's something in that dark maze locked by the 6 pod smalls. But he did get a decent haul from Pod anyway.
Yes, he did.
Got a couple of fetch quest big keys and the book. So a bunch of fetch quests.
Hataka using everybody's favorite strat, freezing the green guard and using it to kill the ball and chain guard.
Yeah, definitely swag. I'm not sure if it's faster than using the bow or the fire rod, but it's definitely cooler.
Yeah, for sure. It does get that green guard out of the way, so something to be said for that.
Yeah, that's true. It's also really cool if he has the sword out and you throw him sword out at the ball and chain guard.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Taka, are you doing Pod? No, it looks like it is going to be catfish into Zora.
Yeah, and I definitely like this because, like, I'm a big fan of, especially in an all dungeons setting where you know you're going to have to do so many checks. If you can just put off trying to get one more pod key, I think it can be worth it.
Or the pod big even.
And it's not even an easy decision to go to pod right now either, because the Skullwoods area is pretty attractive. And normally in the non-key sanity mode, Skullwoods is only 2 items, but with all the keys and the maps and compass shuffled, it's a much more attractive. It's up to 8 items, I believe.
Yeah, and Hitaka has that fire rod, so he can complete the dungeon. And maybe he's just hoping to get like a slightly better sword before he does so. Yeah, or half magic is also useful if you're good at fire rod strats. But definitely not the progression item he was hoping for, I suspect.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to get, but not needed.
And more money.
Yeah, we got a map to a dungeon that you've already beaten and some money.
But plenty of money to do this now. Heart container that at this point gets skipped because both runners have 11.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty healthy seed.
Fairy in the bottle for the free bottle fill.
Before getting the half magic, I would have really liked that fairy in a bottle, because if you're thinking about Spike Cave with your Tower of Hair items in your book, but they have the cape and half magic now, so don't need it. And
those bombs, not so great.
Oh, and welcome SpeedGaming 5 Raiders. Thanks for coming in. This is a FAD keys run, which is just like all Dungeons Key Sandy, just with the Castle Tower small keys being vanilla.
Okay, Hitaka now going to head over towards Village of Outcastle, see if he does Skullwoods first. That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, when you don't have the mitts, going to Skullwoods first is just a bit of a time save. Not as big when you have the boots and you can dash through that row of bushes, but you can full clear Skullwoods right now. You can even do your pedestal check. Or no, he doesn't have the book, sorry. He didn't get it yet. But that's the only thing you miss out on.
Not, in all dungeons, I don't really worry about pedestal checks. In the end, it's just another check that you get after you kill finish certain dungeons. So, it's Pyramid Fairy with 1 less item and 1 extra dungeon clear,
Yeah. Sometimes it can be nice if you know a particular big key is there, because then you're like, okay, I can't wait for that big key to get here. I'm probably gonna have to dip that dungeon, but yeah, it's not that important.
And heck, a ped seed in all dungeons, I believe, means that you're not finding, especially in this mode, means you're not finding progression in GT.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in this mode in particular. In normal AD keys, you could still have the Castle Tower small key in there. And I guess you can still have the GT big key in GT. So you don't get to truly go mode it, but it is very nice. There's definitely been some seats where I'm rooting for the pet to have an item so that I don't have to go into GT for anything. All right, and Scrub Casual's made his way over to Swamp Palace. This will be good for him. He'll be able to get that fire rod that was in here.
So, not a huge fan of the way Hitaka routed this. Getting the going over there to the right first and opening the pinball room, and now using this key here. He's still gonna be fine because he's gonna be able to grab the pot key and the mummy key, but I like being able to skip that mummy key if I can.
Yeah, especially if you're coming in on a low percent and you want that 1 fire rod shot can make a difference.
Yep. Because fighter sword killing the Gibdos, not fun.
Yeah, if you're really experienced, and especially with the boots, you can do the spike hit where but if you don't practice NMG, then you're probably gonna be using fire rod rather than the spike hit.
All right. Just remember to use that Cane of Samaria, though. Very nice item to have in the back of Skullwoods here. Another pod small, so that's going to give Hitaka 4 at least when he goes in there.
Yeah, he could even, and I think he might even get up to 5 because there's a 5th one in K45.
He got that one already.
Oh, sorry, I thought his was from somewhere else. I, for some reason, thought that they both had 1 pod small that the other didn't have.
If they do, it's from another location. I won't swear to it.
No, I think it was they went back when he had the one from Eastern. That was probably what I was thinking.
Okay, here's another thing you wouldn't see in a non-key situation. Most of the time you check this after the boss because you're hoping that Moth has the last item, but these will both be items, so. And this one is a Hyrule Castle small key, which puts Zelda Cell and that stuff down there into logic, but we don't care, because it's very easy to break around that.
Yep, and it wasn't even anything useful today.
No, it wasn't. It's a great room to have half magic in.
Yeah, and the Gibdos are even in the magic drop pack.
Yeah,
so
that's
full
really
half
nice.
magic for your
Yeah, I hope. Yeah, if you're good at the Fire Rod strats in Skullwoods, that's just golden. And I personally like using Fire Rod for Mothula. Probably because when I played this originally, I thought you had to use Fire Rod for Moth because it was the enemy you got in the dungeon, so of course you got to use it to beat the boss, right?
Yeah, that strategy works pretty good until you get to Vitreous.
Yeah, or I don't know how you use your blue mail versus cold stare, but maybe someone can figure it out.
Yeah, and I think the best part about the Fire Rod strat is that when Mothul's just being annoying and hugging the spikes, you can just hit him, and sometimes the splash damage will even get a hit that a sword wouldn't.
Okay, Taka down to 4 hearts, but still has, it's through it, no problem.
Yeah,
still has those red potions, so he was going to be fine. But
and also
so long as he remembered them.
There's a blue over in the left side swamp that he must have gotten too.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he's got 3 bottles sitting there on that tracker.
And Skullwoods is another crystal. So I actually would be a bit disappointed in getting crystals now, because without knowing I always want Turtle Rock to be a pendant. Though with the Ice Rod already in hand, it's not as bad. I guess it's.
I mean, he's got everything for Turtle Rock except possibly the medallion. So yeah, in this case, not nearly as bad as it would be if you're missing any one of those items.
Yeah, it's not any worse than any other item that could have the big key in GT.
Scrub double checking that he doesn't have the big key to Swamp Palace. I've done that before.
Yeah, and you don't even have like a little indicator on top to tell you if you have the big key or not, like the small keys.
Yep. Okay, we're gonna get some North Dark World checks here. I think this, because you have a cape and a mirror, so that's essentially 3 checks.
And these checks, having already done Catfish, there's really nothing else you're gonna be doing up in this area for a while. So definitely.
Oh no, he's going. Okay. And with the boots, you can do this pretty quickly. And if you find the Thieves Town big key in these checks, then you can just do the dungeon.
Yeah, and so I think we're really just waiting on the mitts here, because I'm trying to think like what else we could get. Some fetch quests like in the shape of big keys, but there's really not that much left to the runners that's not going to be mitts locked. Yeah,
I mean, Scrub still needs to do Skullwoods. Hitaka hasn't touched Pod yet. Hitaka up a few checks, as it were.
Yeah, because what we saw in Pod, so we got the book, which could give you something in Desert, but it's not going to be our logical progression, because the Harmless Hellway is locked by 6 Pod Smalls, and we only have 4. So Pod has that. Sorry, I was going to say it's got the 1, 4, 6 key logic.
Yep. And worse, Hitaka has that small key to Desert. Or was that in?
It was in Swamp left side.
Okay, so Scrub should have that too.
Yeah.
So it might be something on his radar, because that's like 4 items he can check now over in Desert.
Yeah, I think if you get the book, it's tempting, though, with it being out of logic and already having the mirror. Maybe not, but who knows? It could be something good.
There's a blue cane. With the cape already in hand, blue cane not very interesting.
No,
although it can save you on the Thieves Town on the blind fight.
Yeah, if you're playing inverted and you've got 4-heart Thieves Town or something, then you really love to find that.
Yeah, give me that blue cane. Oh, that's a really gross chess game. Granted, the first item is randomized among the normal chess game items, but then you get a second green rupee, and it's like, thanks, game.
Yeah, because it's only a pretty good deal. It's only 20 rupees to play that, and you sometimes just get 100 plus an item.
Yep. And I suspect Hitaka will do the first 4 of these down. I mean, it's a pretty standard play in general. But then I'm guessing Pod, because he's got those 4 keys. He could clear everything in the front if he's willing to risk the location of the 5th key.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty big risk. I would expect to see him skip the vanilla big key chest. Because like the one reason like you saw Scrub Casual use all his keys is because the Harmless Hellway takes a long time to get back to. So you want to do that one right away. Whereas the vanilla big key chest you can get to rather quickly.
Although I've also heard the argument that if you have the big key, you do Harmless Hellway. And if you don't have the big key, you do the big key chest, because then there's 2 items in the back, and you're not just going in the back for just the one in the big chest.
So I adhere to that philosophy until I got the I did the big chest first, and then you get the big key in the stall post room, and now you feel bad because you can't get to the back.
Silver's for Hitaka. But nothing more than that. Silver's a nice find, but it'll make our Vidi kill very easy, and of course for the Ganon fight. But doesn't really do anything for us logically.
Yeah, I think from Hitaka's point of view, he's probably going to want to go to Palace of Dark. Oh no, he went to the Midst of Deep Zone. I forgot. The first chest.
Didn't even catch that.
Yeah, I thought there was something in the first chest, and I forgot what it was. I'm like, it must have been this.
That's pretty important.
Yeah, because now you don't have to go to Pod. Now you can do, actually, maybe he might want to, because he doesn't have the Ice Palace big key that's sitting in Pod.
Well, if he finds another Pod small, he's got to go there. If he finds a big to Pod, I would expect him to go there. But right now, first check, just a piece of heart. I'm surprised you even picked it up.
Because at this point, there's a bunch of options now for Hitaka with those mints. Because you can go up to Death Mountain, do Super Bunny Cave hookshot, check the Turtle Rock Medallion. You can maybe even go in there. You can also go to Ice Palace without the big key, which is always a bit of a risk, but you can definitely make that sort of a risk in a race like this. Or you can go to Pod, but you can't clear it, but there's a lot of items and logic there.
Okay, I was expecting him to do the powder. Okay, he is going to do the powder, he's just going to do it after. I think he forgot for a second, because he set up that mirror portal in a location that it would have been very easy to jump down and do the powder. But, you can do it with the chest, it doesn't matter. And then you can eat. At this point, I think he's cleared everything, so it just makes more sense to save and quit to turn this in. Oh, just money. Oof.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything, no shovel or anything. Yeah, he's making the realization that he's already done the South of Kakariko checks, just can save and quit.
Yeah, it's kind of nice when that's the case, because then you can just, do this.
So with the new boots leaving behind the chest thing, I'm not sure how much faster it is.
I still think this is faster, but it's not nearly as much faster as as just leaving behind the chest and running away from it.
It really shines when you have just Bombo's tablet and purple chest, because then you can stay in the dark world, dash over, and then mirror over to Bombos. But Hitaka has not gotten that book out of Pod yet. Then Scrub Casual making his way. He's finally just been clearing the dungeons a little bit behind Hitaka, just from various routing differences, and going to make his way through Skullwoods as well.
See, this could be a mountain check for Hitaka. Let's see where he starts. No, he's going to start from Link's house. This could be then Pod. I hope he's not going into ice, because, let's see. No Ice Palace small keys and that big key sitting in Pod.
Yeah, it's definitely a risk. With Icebreaker, you don't need the keys that much, but that looks like where he's going.
Yeah, it sure does.
And we'll figure out when Scrub Casual goes.
Yeah,
through.
You don't really need Ice Palace small keys at all. You can get around the dungeon without it, even without the Icebreakers. It is easier with it, though.
Yeah, because with Icebreaker, you don't even... Well, I guess no. With Icebreaker, without the big key, it is nice to have one small.
Oh, it's absolutely nice to have one.
With the big key, though, if you just don't hit the switch, it's not even that much slower to have 0.
Yeah, but without the big key, you have to hit the switch if you're going to finish the dungeon, so.
Yeah. And then if you want to get the iced tea chest without the small key, you have to go around, jump down, push the block, and walk around.
Yep.
You can't do the bomb jump.
Big key to Meyer. That's an important one. But everybody's going to get that pretty easily.
And Mothula on Scrub Casual side giving a little bit of trouble, not taking as much damage from the fire rod shots.
Oh, and I just froze for a second, and yeah, the moth is down. It froze for me in a really bad spot. Yeah, Hitaka, remembering that without a big key, you absolutely want to hit that switch.
Yeah, some people just always hit the switch because it's easy, but if you're someone who doesn't always hit it, you gotta make sure you're on the ball in these key sandy modes.
Yep, I am one of those people that doesn't always hit it, so I hit it in go mode and I hit it in key sandy minus big key. So yeah, have to remember.
Yeah, I'm the same, except I forget it half the time in key sanity.
Wow, we've gotten a string of heart pieces lately.
Well, I mean, at this point, there's not even that much left we need to clear the seed. We're going to need, we have got a question mark number of medallions, the Giganon's Tower big key, the Desert Palace big key, the Pod big key, and the Turtle Rock big key, and the Thieves' Town big key.
Oh, there's the Ganon's Tower big key. We don't need that anymore.
So we're basically just looking for a ton of keys, which is kind of more annoying than items because they can be in more places.
Yes. And just a piece of heart at Ped. That was a Dark Palace something, but I don't think it was a key.
I think it was a compass.
Okay. I personally like compasses. A lot of people, kind of poo-poo them, but I kind of like seeing that item count on the top of my screen.
I have gotten bailed out a few times by them.
Small key to Skullwoods. At this point, we really don't want that.
Yeah, they won't be stepping foot into Skullwoods the rest of the season.
Nope, it's been full cleared. Nothing else there.
And yeah, this is the downside. One of the downsides of having no key and no big key is that you have to, even with Icebreaker, you got to do this a little bit of a long roundabout. Whereas if you had the one big key, then you could have bomb jumped out of or the one small key, you could have bomb jumped out of the Freezor room.
Or if you had the big key, then you just can have the switch in the right place so that those pegs don't get in the way. Because you can steal that key that he picked up there to go down.
Yep.
Red boomerang. Really need that.
Yeah,
nice item to have.
It's a nice item. I'm not sure where he. Okay, he's going. You can go around here. Yeah, you kind of have to go around. Okay.
No, you don't, because you can drop down the block. In the
oh yeah,
you can just push the block down. So it in the end it doesn't really matter. You can either you're stealing the key to do it this way, but actually technically no. I think that actually is the intended spot to use that key.
Yeah, it is, because you're supposed to go down and hit the switch and then go back up and then.
No, what? Oh, he's gonna powder the anti-fairy. Okay. We're still on Fighter's sword, by the way. We do need at least one more sword to finish this seed.
Yeah, luckily Hitaka's already got half magic. He has Bombos, 12 hearts, and Fire Rod, so it shouldn't be too bad of a fight. Yeah,
and he could choose to use the Bombos to save a little magic up front.
Yeah, use Bombos here. You might even one strat you'll see is runners. Normally they knock him Cold Stare into the top right corner, but with Fire Rod, the top left corner works pretty nice for getting the splash damage. It looks like Hitaka's going to go for top right.
With half magic, he should be able to finish this off without having to realign anything but the Fire Rod. Half magic really shines in this situation. And just rupees. So what do we get out of this? We got Ganon's Tower big key. I think that's all we got out of here. And unfortunately for Hitaka, there's still that big chest that he can't get. And we'll see when Scrub Casual gets there, whether or not there's something important in that chest. And that could flip this race around.
Yeah, I would feel pretty bad if I was in Hitaka's shoes. And this map check, I think, is him just checking to see if that was a red crystal to kind of like, okay, maybe there's something I'll get early. Because whenever you do Ice Palace early like that, and you just don't get anything from it. I mean, the GT Big Key is something, but it's not particularly great because it's probably not going to lock any items.
It's nothing interesting right now. I'm also it looks like we only have I guess there's one. He's got one Ganon's Tower key. Scrub's got two. With the big key, if there's nothing progression in Ganon's Tower, you really only need one. So actually, you don't really need any because you can grab the pot key in the basement and then go up.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever seen a seed where the runners get all the way to Ganon's Tower without any Ganon Tower small keys, but you could.
I've seen it. I've seen runners have to go get that pot key. It doesn't happen very often. Yeah, this is going to be 6 checks, and then maybe we can enter Turtle Rock. Now, only two small keys, no big key, so can't finish it. Need at least 3 small keys to finish the dungeon, 4 logically speaking.
You can still sequence break to Laser Bridge by stealing the Poke Key, which can be nice sometimes.
Not without the big key, you can't, but yeah.
That's true, yeah. Well, maybe that's here. Nope, Thieves Town.
Oh, Thieves Town big key. Okay, that's a good one. And a mushroom. How about a fetch quest?
That Thieves Town big key is definitely good to get here, though, because if you just get locked at Turtle Rock here, it's pretty clear play. You just go over to Thieves Town and
yeah, absolutely. Maybe get some pod keys to finish that out. Okay, Ether. So not going into Turtle Rock right now, but we do have Hookshot Cave. And then we'll see if Taka chooses to go into a Spike Cave. We'll see if he chooses to do anything in Hera.
Yeah, so Hitaka doesn't have the book yet, so that might make Ether... If he does go over to the Hera area, then he might end up leaving that Ether tablet for quite a while.
Yep. Oh, there's a small key to Ice, of course, right after you finish the dungeon. And a small key to Turtle Rock, so that's 3 Turtle Rock smalls.
Yes, that's very good. So you can clear everything but Lava Chest with the 3 keys.
Yep. Or you can choose not to go to the boss, but no one does that.
Yeah, that's a very interesting choice. You would have to be playing with hints on and know the dice rod's in there or something.
Yeah. I have seen runners save scum that location, though. And it's not that hard to do, either.
Yeah, especially if you come over there without the big key.
Okay, we are going to see some Hera checks.
Yep, and Hera Basement's one of those checks where you'll sometimes try to skip it in the normal modes, and oftentimes it'll just not have an item, but in all dungeons Key Sandy, it doesn't often make sense. You can still skip it sometimes, but it's kind of obvious when the skip is a good play.
Unfortunately, didn't quite get that fire rod shot off in the right way. He didn't end up on the block, so he's not able to do the coffee break strat, but it looks like he... It looks like he has the cape on, but he doesn't because his fire rod's pick is...
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that when you were grabbing the wall with the cape, you could also quick swap to stuff.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
All right, looks like Scrub Casual is going to clear out the Smith tape. We'll see if maybe he might want to go to Desert Palace here.
Okay, just doing the basement, not doing the big chest? That's interesting.
Oh, he doesn't have the big key yet.
Oh, he doesn't have the big key? Okay. That's one of those pod locations.
The 2. He's going to feel bad when he goes to pod and gets the Ice Palace and Tower Hera Bigs.
I'm a little less worried about the Hera Big for him, just because he'll also get the book, and that'll also give him Ether Tablet, so that's still 2 items. Plus, you're going to be up here for Turtle Rock anyway. We'd be much more concerned about that Ice Palace Big Key.
Yeah, especially if that pod becomes like a last location. Because if you go to pod, like you feel like you're getting away with it right now with 4 keys and having not dipped it yet. But then if you go there looking for progression and just get 2 fetch quest big keys, it feels really bad.
Yep. It looks like we are going to see some Ice Palace pretty soon over here on Scrub side. So we're going to find out what exactly is in that big chest, I think.
Yeah, and I didn't get the chance to see if he went to Bombo's tablet or not.
Yeah, I don't know if he did.
He went. I looked away for a second because I thought it would take him a little while to get there, so maybe he didn't.
Okay, and as expected, Hitaka's going to go finish up Thieves Town.
Yeah, it's a really easy call. dungeon you can full clear. It doesn't even get any faster in go mode, really.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
you just do it as soon as you can. So we'll really know a decent amount after this, these dungeons from these two, because if it's not in Thief's Town or Ice Palace Big, there's not that many spots left.
Yeah, at that point, Hidaka will probably be forced to go over to Pod. I'm not sure what else he has, which could get us into Desert. Could get either one of them into Desert.
Yeah, but Desert's probably not going to have the logical progression unless we've got
Yep.
2 Pod Smalls just sitting around here.
Have we seen a Gina from either runner?
You know what? I don't think we have.
So that could be a thing as well. And a lot of times you don't want to do a Gina until either you can pair it with a Desert Dip or mirror to it from the Mire area.
Yeah, it didn't really make sense getting to him this seed because they got the hammer from Saw's Hut before they were really digging deep in the light world. Scrub Casual going for that icebreaker, especially that block's just a little bit too far. Looks like he had the right placement, it's just that he didn't get the 1 frame turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
Gets it on the second block.
And we're still on Fighter Sword. Just thought I'd point that out.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying this late.
This is really late to still be on Fighter Sword, especially in an all dungeons situation where you're basically full clearing everything you can.
They don't have to give you the 2 swords until Ganon in proper, so
I mean,
can be in DT.
I mean, the swords can be literally anywhere. The one caveat is you need at least 1 sword for medallion dungeons. Rare is the seed where you actually could have all 4 swords in Ganon's tower, but you know, it is not. I guess you need it for also to get to the back of Skullwood. So
yeah,
you have
would
to
need
have
Mire, Skullwood.
Oh, there's Turtle Rock. But yeah, exactly. That's Turtle Rock right there. That ether.
Yeah, we'll get to see that this Ice Palace big chest.
Okay, it's a sword. So Hitaka's going to have a sword disadvantage, but that shouldn't be something that breaks the race.
Yeah, probably will not have to go back to get that unless we get to a really bad situation where Hitaka, say, goes into Pod and only gets the 2 big keys and has to make a choice.
Yep. But I suspect we might be seeing Turtle Rock soon with those 3 smalls and that ether medallion.
Oh,
and
yeah,
actually, if we don't see a big key, this is actually a situation where it wouldn't be hard to save scum that lava chest. Because what you do is you go outside, you do Mimic Cave, and then you go back in, you take a death, so that when that lava chest turns out to be nothing, you just reset.
Yeah, there's those very convenient laser eyes that will kill you very quickly.
Yes, they will. Anybody that's played Entrance knows that. Because you walk into that entrance and you're like, whoops.
And I think basically the only time you ever just hard keep the item is the Ice Rod, but that's not going to be the case today.
There are items that you keep there. Like, it's not just the Ice Rod, but it has to be, like a big key to a dungeon or something like that.
Well, I mean, you keep them, but some of them you might hold off on and come back the second time.
Yeah, I suppose. I think it is locked by 4 keys anyway, so it makes, you can, if it's something like that, you're going to get that 4th key.
Because you don't know when you're going to get the last Turtle Rock spawn. You don't even know if it's a crystal or a pendant yet.
Okay, Hitaka not going to Turtle Rock? Maybe this is finally the pod play?
I think you might want to use that Swamp Palace big key even. We'll see.
Ooh.
No.
That is another one of those fetch quest keys. Oh, did we get a red crystal?
We'll see.
We got a red crystal. Looks like Thieves Town was that other red crystal.
All right, and yeah, both the red crystals were fully in logic, so yeah, it makes sense to check. Especially whenever you're doing something before. I always like to do this bomb before going to the mountain, unless you're in go mode, just because there could be 2 items here that really help on that mountain trip, and you could just save a double dip.
Yeah, I like that I like that for that. I also like that if he's going to pod because you can it's kind of sort of on the way. So either way, whichever thing he does next, I like this play first.
Yeah, because it is definitely a decision because they're both dense dungeons that you can't full clear.
Yep.
I think pod has more in logic right now, but if you sequence break to laser bridge, it's going to be pretty close. Or no, sorry, no big key.
Those darn big keys just getting in the way. And maybe you get a big key here that pushes you towards one or the other. Or you could just get a map that you don't really need, and a piece of heart that you don't really need.
Yeah, I think I would probably go to Palace of Darkness here, but we'll see what Hitaka decides.
Okay, so that's a crystal on Meyer.
So we're getting
2, 3, 4, 5. That's the 6th crystal. Okay, so yeah, one of TR, Desert, or Pod is a pendant, and they're all bad pendants.
Yeah, that I would not have been happy to see that Meyer, because Meyer's the one you have the big key for. You want to have your pendants for your big keys.
Yep. Your big keys for your pendants.
Yes. Because you don't want progression in GT is always bad. Because if you get to go mode GT, then you don't have to do any of that GT routing stuff.
Yeah,
you just
skip
get to go
that
to the
basement. Top. Really nice to skip that basement.
All right, so Hitaka will get a couple. These things actually, I think you might feel decent about it, other than the Ice Palace big key, because you're getting the Tower of Hera big key and the book before you're about to make a mountain climb.
Yep,
so,
and you can easily route those in. And with Hera Pod, it's not even that long to get to the big chest.
Yeah, you just take the little bit longer route of checking the tablet and checking the big chest. Now, this tablet could be interesting because if we're pretty low on things to check at this time. And if that tablet has something, we know where the other sword is. It's in the Ice Palace.
We know where there is a sword, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, there could be another one, but if that's something we're running out of stuff. Like, we need that flute to kind of break open the seed to give us Meyer and then eventually GT.
And it will be interesting to see, as late as we are, this might be a situation where maybe you don't open that front door.
Yeah, there's definitely an argument for it.
You know, and just full clear this dungeon except big chest and obviously the boss.
Though I might be more partial to safe scumming the vanilla big key chest.
Yep, that's another thing you could do. There's that big key to Hera. There's the heart. And we'll see what Hitaka decides to do. Well, he's not going to open it right now. And there's that ice big.
Yeah, with the way he's routing him, maybe he will consider doing the four key clear.
It looks like he's going to do the back first, and then you can make a decision after that.
Yeah, because there could just be a key back here.
And he doesn't know that he won't find one, but we know. And if he finds a key, then yeah, he can just, have the 5th key, and it's not a big deal.
And we'll get to see the Dark Maze, assuming that Hitaka's able to pull off the hammer jump today.
Yeah.
Because Scrub Casual had a bit of trouble with his hammer jump and had to leave.
Wait, is that the 4th? That's the 4th Turtle Rock small key. That's all the small keys for Turtle Rock for Hitaka.
Yeah, won't have to worry about saves coming. Though that definitely will make the mountain play a really easy one here. Definitely not going to see something like Bambo's tablet. It's like now you've got all of the chests that you can get to in Turtle Rock are in logic. You've got Ether Tablet, which is out of logic but nice to route in, and you got Tower of Hera big chest, which we saw from Scrub Casual. I didn't technically see what it was, but it doesn't seem like he's gotten anything interesting on his tracker from it.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anyone go crazy over in chat.
And
Hitaka just knew he messed up the bomb jump right away, so just going to go around.
Yeah, it's not a good day for hammer jumps today.
Apparently not. Okay.
Some runners are only more familiar with setting it up from the bottom.
Yeah, I try to set it up from the bottom when I do it. Actually, it looks really good right there. Nope, you moved up a pixel too high. Okay, now that looks good. So for those of you that maybe don't know how to set this up, the first location is a lot harder to describe because I use the menu and the side wall. But the second part is really easy. You want 3 pixels on the bomb shadow. If it's 4 pixels, you're going to see a piece of the bomb, so you can always see if you went too far.
Yeah,
Okay, nothing in the dark maze.
The only one that's hard is when you get the 2 pixel. If you're not familiar with it, if you have 2
Yeah,
pixels of the shadow
2
showing,
versus
is that
3.
2 or 3?
Yeah, it took me a while to be able to tell between 2 and 3, to be honest. But after a while, you just kind of get used to the difference.
The nice thing is that if you get 1 pixel too high, you can move down 1 pixel with just a down input.
Okay, so as late as we are at the sea, Hitaka's is of the mind of, yeah, you know what? I want to make sure I have this small key, but I also want to make this check. There's got 2 more checks here to finish this out.
Yeah, I can definitely see it because he put off coming here for so long. He doesn't want to come back for a triple dip.
Yep, this will be at worst a double dip.
And he may only be looking at 2 Bollock side clears because he could just find another small key before finding Helm's.
Yeah, if he finds that last small key, he'll be able to open the front door, no problem.
So it's a relatively low commitment. It's just the 1 extra Bollock side. Whereas if you come in here with a big key and try to do 4 key pod, you have to do a 3rd trip through that Bollock side.
It's just bombed, sadly. And that last small key to Ganon's tower.
Yep.
Saving and quitting, so he is, I mean, really running out of places to go. But 4 Turtle Rock small keys and the Ether Medallion, although it looks like he wants to do, I'm guessing this is desert. I don't know where else this is going to take him.
Yeah, it looks like Bombo's tablet into desert, making me look wrong because he's going to do the 2 out of logic checks. But you can see the argument for doing it. It would make even more sense if you knew that, say, Turtle Rock's a crystal and Desert Palace is a pendant, because you might just find the Turtle Rock big key out of logic over in desert.
And it may be those pod smalls are sitting in Turtle Rock.
Yeah.
And at which point, you don't want to be, you got to be careful with the key logic in that situation, not using items just because of the key logic, and get you into a lot of trouble.
Yeah. If it was only the big keys, then I probably would just ignore it. With the flute, though, because I'm just worried about flute being in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, that could be.
Because, from my point of view, we could get a bunch of keys. Like, we could get 2 pod smalls in the desert big, or even just 2 pod smalls and have flute be in desert. But it seems more likely that he'll just be flute in Turtle Rock.
I don't think we can get pod smalls in desert because of that book location.
Oh, I thought I said Turtle Rock, but maybe.
Well, we have all of those, so they won't be there either. But could be the big.
I thought I said pod smalls in Turtle Rock, but maybe I said something.
Okay, yeah, pod smalls in Turtle Rock are definitely a possibility, and there's a big key to pod.
So probably.
Wow, okay.
I don't know if it's actually a required double dip, but we'll see. Because they could be, if the flute's in Turtle Rock, then it wouldn't be.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that is 6 pod locks, but it is very annoying because we're just there.
Yeah, you can see those sword slashes. Hitaka was not amused. Why are we in this room? I think this was a mistake.
Yeah, they're definitely going on tilt with this that big. I haven't seen this room in so long since I played this as a kid. This is a really mean room. They just put you in. You just get locked in with a bunch of enemies. And
well, I don't know if there's a map completion category in Link to the Past, but if there is, there are a lot of really mean rooms that only serve the purpose of locking you in until you do something that is really annoying and hard to do. And did we see the torch yet? Because we're not seeing a whole lot in this desert palace. Nope. Just the pod big is pretty big, but other than that, not a whole lot else. Okay.
And also, so now on Scrub Casual's side, he's beaten Thieves Town, and we'll see. I don't know if he's been to Turtle Rock. He's been up to the mountain, obviously, but I don't. He did, and he probably saw the Turtle Rock medallion because I want to see
Yeah,
if
I'm
he
sure
wants
he
to
did.
go to Turtle Rock.
He's also got the only 2 Turtle Rock small keys, but I'm not sure they're the same 2 keys that Hitaka had. In fact, they're not because there's one in Pod.
Yeah, I'm wondering where he didn't get the ones that he doesn't have are.
And a Gina with nothing. And chat rightly pointing out there's a mushroom that hasn't been turned in.
Yeah, we got 2 fetch quests with the mushroom and the Swamp Palace big key. All right, but we'll get to see Turtle Rock over here.
Yeah,
from the side, which
we'll see if he stops in Hera and or Ether Tablet first. In fact, it looks like he is because you don't go this way with Hookshot otherwise.
Yeah, and we'll see that one of those fetch quests over here, Scrub Casual, going into Swamp Palace.
Its Ether Tablet check's really big because we don't know if that's something useful. That Master Sword sitting there in the ice big chest could still play a part in things.
Yeah, and it's not. That would probably be the last location Hitaka's going to check.
Or it could just be couch cash.
Yep. So looks like we can say that Hitaka's likely not going to get punished by the Ice Palace big chest. The worst thing he gets is he may not get to go mode GT.
Yeah, not hard punished. I mean, he's gonna find another sword. There's 3 more in the pool. But it's much more likely that he'll end up on Master Sword now because one of those swords is kind of not in his pool, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's so with GT possibly getting go mode, you might not see if he gets the tempered sword with silver arrows. It's really not going to make a difference with the gold sword, but if tempered, it's Master versus tempered, it's a big deal.
Yeah, tempered versus gold makes a small difference depending on how good you are at the 1-in-1. But tempered versus Master makes quite the difference, but less so because both runners do have silver arrows. And it was just arrows in the big chest. No wonder chat didn't go nuts for it because it was a big nothing.
And speaking of big nothing, Swamp Palace big chest also not turning up anything good for our runners. All right, where is Scrub Cat? Oh, he's doing the bomb too now.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it seems like Scrub Casual's just been doing everything that Hitaka did like a couple minutes after.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing he did first was Pod, and unfortunately for Scrub, there wasn't anything there that made any kind of real difference.
Nope, that Ice Palace big chest was the main thing he could have hoped for, but the sword's nice, but not going to be needed.
Yeah, nothing big enough that it's going to make enough of a difference by itself. He needs something else to pop that doesn't show up for Hitaka. And Hitaka tugging paw, that's a kind of an inside joke between several of his friends, including myself. Tugging that paw. The story goes, I'll take time to tell the story. It's kind of a funny one. Hitaka's teammate Azure and friend Polar Bear Bunny. Polar Bear Bunny, in fact, takes Hitaka's spot on the SM Randomizer League. Was playing a Plando where she tugged that paw, and it was a bunch of bees. So it became kind of a thing with them to tug that paw.
Yeah, there are some interesting tree pole locations, and that's one of them.
That is one of them.
What gets me is the tree poles change after you beat Aganon.
Oh yeah, I always forget about that because but if you're killing Aga, at that point the tree poles really don't play a huge part. They mostly play a part at the very beginning of the game. Map to Dark Palace so we can find out if it's a pendant or a crystal.
Would be nice at this point now to be a pendant now that we know the big.
Yeah, you know what though? It's gonna be. I would bet it's a crystal now that we have that big key and not the ones to Turtle Rock or Desert.
Desert Palace is looking conspicuously pendant-like with giving.
It sure is.
Just giving you a big key to a because if Pod was a pendant, they don't have to put that big key in there.
Yep. And Turtle Rock missing its big key as well. I do think we're going to find something here because we have all 4. Oh, hey, look at that. We are finished. Have fun with Hammer Strats, Hitaka, but we are finishing this dungeon now.
Yeah, this is definitely a nice find.
A little unfortunate. Scrub looks like he still only has 2 Turtle Rock small keys. I wonder if I mean, you know, I always call the trackers the MVPs, and they really are. So if they miss something, very understandable. But it's weird that he only has 2, because I thought was there one. I thought there was one in Hookshot Cave. Maybe that was wrong. Maybe I had that wrong. And if that's the case, then definitely the trackers are much smarter than us.
Yeah, I mean, there could have just been one in like Kakariko earlier when it was blacked out.
Yeah, there's that possibility too.
Because yeah, I thought there was one in Hookshot Cave. There was one in one of the dungeons we beat, and then I'm surprised that he would have 2. But we'll see.
There was one in Pod. There was one in Hookshot Cave. There was the one on K45, and I don't know where the 4th one was.
Well, we'll see how many he has very shortly when that top thing tells us. And he's on 3.
Okay. So he's missing 1. I wonder which one he's missing. Probably the one that I don't remember the location of, to be honest.
Yeah, because Hitaka does have a few checks on Scrub Casual, but they've done a lot of the same checks.
So Scrub Casual probably finishes the dungeon and orphans the lava chest, would be my guess. And it doesn't look like there was anything on the lava chest. I completely missed what it was when Hitaka opened it.
Yeah. And I think, so the last one was Desert, it looks like. So.
Oh, that totally makes sense. Scrub has not been in Desert yet. And there's a small key to Dark Path. the game just keeps on giving, doesn't it?
Yeah, so it's well, I think at this time point the pendant layout isn't too bad. It's going to be Desert Palace, Big Key can be anywhere, and then you just get to clear out the other one.
Yep. I mean, oh, there's a flute. That's pretty big too. Could be. I mean, Quake could still come into play. A lot less likely, knowing that Meyer is indeed a crystal. Oh, Hitaka skipped that. What? Hitaka, you have enough keys. Oh, maybe. No, he does have enough keys.
Yeah, he has 4.
I don't think he did the pokey at all.
No, he skipped that entire room.
Why?
I don't know.
Hitaka, why? I don't understand.
I mean, it'll be a decent time save if it has nothing, but it is.
We're not going to know for a long, long time because Scrub's going to skip it.
Yeah, you can't save scum it with the big key.
I mean, you could, but you don't.
Yeah, it's just too much of a time loss. With maybe if you have the big key and can't full clear it, you can go to Laser Bridge and mirror out and then save scum it, but not with being able to beat Trinex. You just do it.
I'm confused. We will definitely have questions when the interview comes along. Hey, look, we can mirror out and find out whether this is a pendant or a crystal.
Yeah, all the secrets to Turtle Rock are in Turtle Rock, finding the big key and the map in here.
I kind of wish he'd pick up the compass, because then he would be able to see that, oh, whoops, I skipped a chest. Although the fact is, he should have seen that he skipped a chest just by walking by it and seeing that it was still closed.
Yeah, because I thought I saw it when the first time he went through that it was still close, but I didn't. I thought I just didn't pay attention.
I thought I was not paying attention either, because I don't remember him going there by me. Like, why would you? Like, just doesn't make sense. But yeah, I mean, there's no question he had four small keys when he came in. Maybe he didn't realize he had 4 small keys. I will point out, Hitaka does not use a tracker.
Oh, that's insane.
Well, he's in some good company though. Like his teammate Azure doesn't use a tracker. Also, Fred Coughlin, no tracker. Of very good runners. Oh, it is definitely more unusual to not use a tracker than it is to use one.
Yeah, I can definitely see it in the like regular open modes you can get by without a tracker. It's really hard in Key Sanity. And in Entrance, that's just insane.
Well, in Entrance, he has a whole spreadsheet set up for entrances, and that makes that works for him. So I think that's fine. I mean, you got to have something.
Yeah, if you're just relying on remembering where everything is.
Yeah, just no. Okay, he got through the heads. Just 5 shots with the hammer, and he should be fine. Also, no mail upgrades this seed yet, so. So a lot of the luxury items look like they may end up in GT, which means we're going to miss a lot of them.
Yeah, luckily they've already got silvers and half magic, and we're generally healthy enough to not miss the males too much early. This is probably the one spot where you start to feel it.
Yeah, trying to the late dungeons. I mean, there's a reason why they give you blue mail in Ice Palace, you know, because then the bosses start hitting a lot harder at that point. Oh, Polar Bear Bunny saying that he only had 3 when he entered the dungeon, and thinking maybe he reset a small key at some point. Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know where he would have. I don't know if he's hard where he could have hard reset. We might have just. It's definitely hard to keep track of the everything with key sanity, and when you miss.
Yeah, for sure.
5 minutes of the Kakariko. But it does make a lot more sense. But this race, I think, is pretty close now, because Hitaka has done some checks that Scrub Casual hasn't, which could come back to bite Scrub Casual when he's looking for his last big key. But if he doesn't have to do that, then this is pretty close.
No, Scrub's done a few checks as well with the Ice Palace big chest, swamp big chest.
Yeah, I would have to get really so like I think the checks that Scrub Casual has over Hitaka are like it'd have to get pretty bad for Hitaka to start thinking about checking them. Whereas
absolutely.
There are some things that Hitaka has done that like, I don't know if Scrub Casual did the North Dark World.
I don't think he has, but I could be wrong. Plus Zora. Oh, we're gonna get the mushroom turn in finally.
So we know that the pod big key is in desert. And Scrub Casual will definitely get that, because he's gonna have. That's where you go next once you get the fruit. The flute, because you got desert and Mire both over there. You want to know if you need quite medallion.
Okay, mushroom is nothing. Yeah, I like this waiting for the flute to turn to the mushroom, because then you just flute there and be done. And we're gonna get some Mire area checks. And Turtle Rock was a crystal, so pod is the other pendant.
Yeah, once we found the full clear of Turtle Rock inside of Turtle Rock, it wasn't quite a question anymore.
Not a surprise.
Desert Palace being a pendant is not a surprise at all.
Not a surprise at all. In some sense, if the desert big key is in GT, I think that's really good for Hitaka, because he's got to search for a sword anyway.
Yeah, it really depends on it comes down a lot to GT routing at those points, because you do everything in GT when you get to that point.
Oh, there's a sword. Never mind. He's got 3 bottles in cave, so he'll have, and half magic. With lots of magic, Master Ganon becomes a lot easier. Now we might still run into another 4th sword somewhere. And
it's Bombos Misery Mire today, so Hitaka can just go right in there and full clear.
Yeah.
Now, something that's interesting. Something that's that could be interesting is if the Desert Palace big is early in Mire, then it will really depend what order Scrub Casual does Desert and Mire. I think it makes a lot of sense to do Mire first, because you can full clear it. But if like say it's in the first chest of Mire, then Hitaka will get to go mode this dungeon.
Yep. Now, here we go, into Misery Mire.
And so like this, at this point, like this, when you're looking for this one big key, it's kind of crazy, because you can take some risks if you want, but if you're feeling behind, like, so it's a good opportunity, but I don't think either of these runners have reasons to feel like they need to take any big risks. Because at this point, GT has most of the mana. There's another sword. So yeah, that sword in Ice Palace is going to be basically nothing.
Yep, not yet. Doesn't exist for Hitaka.
Because tempered and silvers, that's
when you're looking for a pendant big key at the end of this end of a game, you're not going to do the one-off checks in Ice Palace and in Swamp that Scrub has already done. you're gonna just go to GT and you're gonna find it there. And it also means that once Hitaka finds that big key, he doesn't have to worry about swords at all. He can just climb and be done.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way that Hitaka will ever be thinking about that, because like you're gonna just clear GT. GT has most of the remaining checks left in the game, and we know he'll find it in there. So when you start getting close to thinking about those one-offs, you'll find the key.
Now the better question: do you? And this is for both runners. Do you go finish pod before you go to GT?
Yeah, that's a good question, because especially with the you have to know if you want to go to the back or not. I personally would just delete the pod big chest and do pod first.
That's reasonable.
All right, so there is that situation, sort of like the situation I was describing. So now Hitaka is going to get to skip the rest of Meyer, and in the way that Meyer couldn't have been any nicer for Hitaka, giving him, I guess he could have gotten not a cutscene chest, but it's pretty nice there.
Yeah, that's go mode for Hitaka. So, and he's just gonna be able to go to the back of Desert. He's not even gonna have to bother with the front at all. Trying to think. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, pod big key. So Scrub still needs to go into Desert, and so he's gonna full clear Meyer first.
Yeah, so Hitaka wasn't really happy about that pod big key location, but that's actually going to be really good for him, because
there was huge.
There was no way Scrub Casual was going to check front of Desert, which you can't full clear, before Meyer, which you can. So this is correct. Totally the correct play by Scrub Casual to go in here. It's just that the way that the game played out, Hitaka's going to get to save like a minute and a half just because of that location.
Yeah, and I will add that I feel like Hitaka doing pod as much later as he did it is going to turn out to be a good thing for him, because one, he now has the small key to open up the front, and can just go to the back the easy way. And even if he hadn't, he was still going to have a small key for the back. But also, it made it, I think, just more like a better choice for him to go to Desert when he did. Whereas for Scrub, he got the totally out of logic book, but didn't want to, for good reason, didn't want to follow it, because it was a totally out of logic book, and he had a whole lot of good in logic checks to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where sometimes, like, this seed was not that linear, because they got like the hammer and glove dark world access.
Yep.
It took them a little while in the light world, but they had basically the whole dark world open to them. Whereas if they had a little bit more sparks of a seed where they had to beat Aghanim, they probably dipped pod really early. And that's one of the main things that can like be a routing difference in these seeds, is like, when do you get over to pod in the Eastern? Because it just takes a long time to walk to pod, and you often will have to double dip it, so you want to get as much as you can your first dip.
Yeah, overall, I would say Hitaka's routing was cleaner, and it all started, to me, when he took that mirror straight into Hera to get that Eastern big key. Whereas Scrub went to, and there's nothing wrong with this decision, but Scrub went to Saha first before heading up to Hera. Maybe looking for better equipment, maybe hoping to find the big key or even the small key to do an extra check there. And any of those things could have happened. Any of those things, had they happened, could have been good for him. But they didn't pan out. So it meant, he put off Eastern longer, which meant he didn't have the swamp small key, which meant pod was like a better play at that point when he went into the dark world. Yeah,
absolutely. Those little mid-game routing decisions have kind of cascaded, because it's just been, you can see it on the screen. Scrub Casual has been doing the same things Hitaka has been for like the past 40 minutes, just a little bit behind. And it's I agree, that like the early dark world and late light world stuff is where the game was made here.
And oh, by the way, that was the last pod small.
So this seed was nice. Even like, it doesn't even look like there's anything logically required in GT, much less hard required.
Yeah.
I guess maybe there's one GT small key and logically required in GT somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody makes the mistake of opening that middle door,
when you're in go mode, you'd have to go really far out of your way.
I mean, what even, at this point, would even be interesting to find?
Yeah, nothing really. I mean, fans of the Blue Boomerang, Shovel, and Quake Medallion?
I believe the Blue Boomerang was really early. Yeah, Scrub has it. I thought it was on Bonk Rocks, which I believe Hitaka did. Yeah, he's got the Blue Boomerang as well. Yeah, he's gonna do pod first.
Yeah, it's an easy decision now that
Yeah,
you can
now it's easy.
Because you beat GT, Amir at a Castle Tower. We got a nice. That's the one thing about these seeds is sometimes you'll have like really long go modes where you're just kind of waiting for it to end. But
yep,
this one's not even that bad though. It's only 3 dungeons.
Yeah, and it's nice to not have to worry about whether you do the big chest here or not.
Yeah, just to freely skip it.
Now, Scrub should be in go mode very quickly after this, because he's going to go into Desert, he's going to find his pod big, he'll finish Desert.
Yeah, just going to be like a pod clear and change behind Hitaka.
Yep.
It is kind of interesting though that there's no armor upgrades yet to see. They must both be in GT.
Well, the swords were another interesting one with the like we went so long just on Fighter Sword, and then Scrub got the Master Sword at Ice Palace, which again was one of those things where it could be a thing but wasn't a thing other than just sword advantage. But then boom we found the next 2 swords.
Yeah, both blocked by that flute in Turtle Rock.
Turtle Rock.
And like the big key being vanilla in Turtle Rock, those can be quite a thing to happen in these seeds, because like a lot of your decision when to go to dungeons is like which ones can I clear.
Do you have a big key? Well, I mean it was French vanilla, but close enough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, big keys in their own dungeons and key sanity is not exactly the nicest thing ever.
Yeah, there can be huge turns of leads based off someone making an early dip and then getting rewarded with the big key in there. And then for this race, though, both the runners just kind of got forced over to Turtle Rock relatively late and then got rewarded with big key. And Scrub Casual making quick work of those land molas with the
Silvers
silver
are
arrows.
so nice for that.
And so we should shortly be getting Scrub Casual getting into his go mode, because you did the right thing. You go and you beat Desert first, because maybe the big key's on there, and then you don't have to do any of
I
Desert.
like that call a lot. Of course, Silver's on Helma also nice. It helps to actually hit the right spot. Hitaka.
Yeah, Helma can be a little bit shifty sometimes.
No, he never had the 4th small key. It was right there on Helma.
Yeah, I think the chat determined they looked at the VOD and saw that he didn't have it.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting logical sequence.
Well, it was speculated that he had reset it, but it was just sitting there on Helma. So that's disgusting.
Well, but that actually is probably really nice in terms of why there's nothing in GT.
Yeah,
Helma
I mean,
for
sure. For sure. I mean, when I say disgusting, I mean if you actually follow the full logic. Like I've always wondered what it would be like if we had a tournament where you were forced to actually follow logic, what it would actually be like. And a seed like this is a big reason why that'll never happen.
Yeah, especially in Key Sanity. You could get away with it in like a regular open mode, but Key Sanity, like not beating Skullwoods till you have all 3 of the small keys.
Oh, it'd be terrible. And Meyer would be a fun one because everything's in logic but the right side. So you can do everything but those right side locations. But you could go kill Vidi, yeah.
Yeah, it's always cross keys will remind you how little Vidi requires. Just the cane big
I
key
know, right?
And some way of getting into the dungeon with the boots, and you need some weapon, but not much.
Yeah, swordless Meyer is not fun. I've had it.
Yeah, I don't even attempt it if it's swordless bowless unless it's the last location, and then I just hit the forfeit button.
Yeah, I think I had a bow plus no sword once. May have been fighter sword, I don't remember for sure, and I just loaded up on extra bombs and extra arrows.
All right, so we will have no GT Big Key guessing game. The correct answer today is inventory. It was in Palace or in
Negative
Ice
something.
Palace, right?
Yeah, negative something.
So Hitaka's going to get to just dash right up the center of GT and
yeah, which always feels really good.
Now, he definitely needs to be careful because, like, a late climb death would put this race very close. And with remail, anything can happen. But he does have a lot of potions.
Yeah, I believe he's got 2 reds and a blue. But I kind of like that you put it that way. I get tired of getting the, you know, so-and-so is in the lead and it's going to take a bunch of Ganon falls. But the late GT death, it is a real thing. It doesn't happen very often. The one exception being the Randomizer week, where the late Wallmaster can get you.
Oh yeah, if you play, definitely getting Wallmastered late in GT is never a good time.
It is a thing that can happen and does happen.
Yeah, so the torch room is the worst because you don't know there's a Wallmaster in there, and then you're on the one tile wide thing.
Yep.
It's not fun.
Yeah, there's some weird things that happen in those torch rooms, like the yellow spiky balls that sit in there.
Yeah.
And while we're at it, since we are going to do, you know, since we have a little bit of time, as Hitaka is going to be doing the normal climb, Scrub Casual going to be finishing up Pod. One of the things I'm excited about in Randomizer Week is one of the other new features, which I really, really like, is that if you have the compass, so giving the compass a little more use, and you menu, you'll be able to see which boss is at the end of the dungeon.
Yeah, that's really good because you can save yourself from getting Trinexed in some random dungeon where you don't compete everybody but Trinex, and then he's just sitting there.
The caveat is the compass can be on the boss still.
Yeah, it's not always going to save you, but it will sometimes.
Yeah, but I think I think that was a really nice feature they added.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes the compasses nice and a little bit useful sometimes.
Also, shout-outs to pendant music in GT. I always find that a bit odd.
Yeah, and also while we're got a bit of just the execution portion of the seed, give these runners a follow. They've been giving us a good race today, and you want to catch them when they're running the personal streams. Because then after this climb, we'll have... This is one of the seeds where you just get to do the back-to-back climbs where there was no reason to ever do early Aghanim.
Yeah, and this is where I miss the Castle Tower Smalls because the end... I mean, I shouldn't say it quite that way because it's not unusual to have both your Castle Tower Smalls and still have a very boring Agate Tower climb. It's just more likely to be a really boring Agate Tower climb now.
Yeah, and it really makes, when it makes the seed, sometimes if you get the early Aga seed that probably wouldn't have happened if they weren't vanilla, it can make the seed a little bit more linear. It's like this seed kind of turned a little bit on the fact that Hitaka put off Pod for a while. But if you have an early Aga seed, you just don't have that option. You both have to dip Pod because you're just beat Aga and you've only got 6 checks left.
Yep, exactly.
All right, down goes Moldorm. No falls today. Very nice.
Hitaka looked like he's practicing his hovers, which is rather appropriate because I do believe the last 2 SG Live qualifiers were essentially hovers.
Yeah, the last one was a really bad hover seed where like you couldn't get the hook shot before go mode. The other one was like a 50-50. If you got the hook shot early, then you're fine.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you had a hover seed.
Or I should add Moldorm bounces since that is a very prominent thing now. Shoutouts to Hitaka's teammate Asi, who while he didn't discover it, pretty much wrote the book on it and has the tutorial you want to look at if you're thinking of learning it.
And the benefit of that is it doesn't require boots. And then we see a nice Hitaka getting the 3 cycle with a 3-2, a 3-1-2 there.
Yeah, it's very nice. He's ready to go. Let's hope he remembers that he has one more dungeon to clear.
And I know know that I've definitely jumped in here without bidding Aga Tower, but at least it's not that bad of a deal. You just let Ganon feel good and get a nice quick win, and then you're over.
There he is. There, he remembered. Go casual in the early parts of his GT climb in the meantime. The nice thing is, with all these nice weapons, this is not a very long climb.
No,
and for Scrub, it'll be even for Scrub, it'll be even better. You know, with Gold Sword, this just flies by. Yeah, Silver's Fire Rod, and one of the nice things about all dungeons is that when you clear Aga Tower, unlike when you clear Ganon's Tower, you get the refill.
Yeah, it can be very nice if you got a little bit beat up in the climb and come into Aga Tower with 5 hearts, which is plenty to do Aga Tower, but it's not great for Ganon.
Nope.
And then you get a nice full refill. Scrub Casual having a pretty nice climb so far, making his way up. Electing to use the Fire Rod. Some runners just prefer to use Fire Rod to Silvers, so...
Yeah, a little low on magic now, though. He's gonna have to... I mean, he's got lamps, so he can do the torches with that. He's gonna want to pick up the magic pot here. Or maybe he's... Okay. Maybe he doesn't have... Oh, he's got the blue. Okay, he'll just use that.
Yeah, because they're not gonna get... The Zazex are not gonna get the magic. And the Wizards might give you a small one.
Yeah, I tend not to like to overuse my Fire Rod in that situation for just that reason.
Yeah,
I hate to use it just to refill my magic when I know if I go far enough, I just get the free refill.
Yeah, with Silvers, even if you're a little bit better with the Fire Rod, I think it makes sense. Just because even if you have full magic here, you get to use Fire Rod for both pretty quickly.
And you know, or even just using that Gold Sword, 2 shots per head, per snake, or for whatever those things are, per landmo. All right. Let's see how many blue balls we get on our Aga. Scrub will have the exact same number. If he ever lets us in.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels that way. I say that, but it's so much worse in NMG.
Yeah, the text boxes.
I mean, if for any of you that don't go back and play the vanilla game very often, and I don't very often, but when I do, it always just strikes me just how much text there is in the game.
Yeah, that's probably another thing about the early 90s style of gaming where there's a lot of telling rather than showing for how to do things.
I don't know about that. It was just a lot of hints. I actually feel like the early 90s and even the 80s, even more so, were more about showing.
Well, yeah, I guess it depends. I think there's like a peak, and it is a peak and a valley, you know, because like in the very early game you have like no text, but then like games like Mario 64 just have like signs scattered everywhere telling you to do stuff.
Yeah, this one was more like, let's just tell you the same thing over and over again every time you beat a crystal dungeon. And did you understand it? And oh my god, woe be to the person that says no.
All right, so we got one Aga down on the screen, and then the other one is going to be shortly after. So Hitaka is going to be just about one full castle tower ahead of Scrub Casual. Yep. All right, see if Hitaka's able to make the gold sword advantage. Really nothing. Doing a nice job here on this one cycle so far.
Yeah, very nice. Has the cape out just in case. Takes a hit and decides to use it. That's right, we never did get a mail upgrade. Probably in the basement of GT. Yeah,
this fight's not free with 14 hearts green mail. You can get careless and take it out. When you have red mail, you can just like keep slashing your sword and don't care what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And silver's my one true weakness. Hitaka doesn't care about the torch glitch. Should get a double out of this one. And that's the last shot.
Yep, all Hitaka's got to do is cross the bridge. Definitely get your good games in chat for Hitaka.
And he will finish up with an official race time of 1:53.36. And GG's to Hitaka.
Yep, taking the first win of the series for Shaktool's gig digging game. So we'll go up to the nice 6 points here.
Yep. And Scrub looks like he's going to go ahead and finish. And no surprise, he's close enough to finish. And we do have Hitaka joining us. GG's, Hitaka. You have to unmute yourself.
Oh, yeah. GG's. Thanks.
Okay, so the proverbial, what did you think of this one?
I thought this was fine. Like, any seed where there's, like, nothing in GT is fine with me.
Absolutely. We were starting to think that Desert Big, or even that maybe we weren't sure whether Pod or Turtle Rock was the other pendant. Actually, we didn't know the Desert was the other pendant, but we kind of guessed it. At that point.
I did a map check, I think, before going into Meyer, which was confirming that Desert was a pendant. And then my plan was, if it wasn't in Meyer, to just run GT and clear that out.
That makes sense. Before or after you did Pod? I'm guessing before.
Before.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
there's only
because
two items in Pod.
Pod, there's 2 items left in Pod, but like making another extra trip to the big chest by itself kind of feels bad. And there's like 22 items in GT, so
yeah, well, or 27 even.
Well,
if you count the climb and the big chest.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, the climb.
So yeah, that's a lot of extra checking.
Yeah.
But yeah, this kind of turned when pretty early. You followed that mirror straight into a not logical Hera, and got the Eastern Big Key, and followed that Eastern Big Key straight into finishing up Eastern, and got that Swamp Small Key, and followed along in that path. Scrub went to Saha and got the hammer out of there, and got the Dark World axes, or what would be Dark World axe once he picked up the Moon Pearl sitting on Spec Rock. Did not go into Eastern, and ended up going into Pod after doing his Hera clear. And you're late. I think the fact that you went so late to Pod really helped you out, because you went straight to Desert from there, and he went to Desert after. Didn't hit Desert until he was done with Meyer. So your go mode, it was sitting there, and Meyer was that Desert Big Key, and he had to full clear Desert and Meyer to get the Pod Big Key that was sitting in Desert. So what I mean. We were wondering when you would get to Pod. It was a bit of, the one scary part that, if you watch this back, that Ice Palace big chest, which turned out to be the other sword, which kept you on Fighter a lot longer. But yeah.
Yeah, Scrub didn't remember where he got his last sword. I asked him after we were both done in the chat. He didn't remember, so that's good to know. Yeah, the ice and the swamp big chest, I try not to let not getting those keep me out of the dungeon, because I mean they're just one-offs. They're usually nothing. Who knows where the big key is?
Yep.
It was kind of funny though that the book was in Pod, and then the Pod big key was in Desert.
Yep. Well, and then we had the last Turtle Rock small. We were a little confused. For some reason, we thought you had all 4 TR smalls, but nope, you just had 3 of them.
Oh yeah, I just had to skip the lava chest.
Yep. So you did the usual, and then the last TR key shows up in Pod, and the last Pod key was in Meyer, if I'm not mistaken, which you didn't get.
Yeah. I thought about going back to Pod after Desert, but I didn't have an extra key to open the front door and get all things, so I didn't really want to do that, and TR was... I didn't have the big key yet because it was in the dungeon, obviously, but I could do, half of TR, so...
And in the meantime, Scrub has finished up with an official race time of 1:57.39, so GG's to Scrub Casual. And we'll see if he wants to join us as well.
So, Hataka, were you ever tempted to go to pod a little bit earlier than you did? Because you got the 3 smalls relatively early.
I was gonna go to pod basically whenever I didn't have anything else of any kind of density to go to, because I'd rather go there with 4 keys is enough, but 5 lets you open the front door without worrying, which is nice. And also, obviously, having the big key is nice. So I pretty much just resolved to go there when I didn't have any more like dungeons to do or any like overworld density or anything.
Yeah, fortunately, you had a nice bit of a nice half magic. I think you had the blue potion by then. So Ice Palace with a fighter sword. It's a lot less scary when you have a lot of magic.
Yeah, I had all 4 bottles. I think it was 2 reds, a blue, and a B.
That's what it shows. Yeah, that's what it shows on your final thing here. So yeah.
Also, shout outs to Fighter Sword Argus and Fighter Sword Trinex.
Oh yeah.
Those are fun.
Yep. You got through them. Okay, that's all that matters, right?
Yep.
And looks like Scrub Casual is going to join us for an interview. Just waiting for him to get up in here.
And looks like he's with us now. GG's.
Hello, thank you. GG's.
Hey, GG's.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard the discussion we were having with Ataka of the big differences, but yeah, how did you feel about this one?
I felt, for the most part, it was a pretty decent seed. Like, a lot of my practice seeds had, like, triple dipping 3-4 dungeons to be able to finish it.
Yeah.
And this was a nice release from having to do all that. Yeah, still double dipping, like, 2 dungeons, and I went back for bid chest and swamp for a gamble, but aside from that, I felt like it was a really good seed.
So the big difference, and we talked about this with Ataka, was he went straight to Hera, got the Eastern Big Key, and then got into Eastern, got the Swamp Small, and headed to Swamp, and was much later to Pod than you were. You did that in a slightly different order, got what was essentially your Dark World access with the hammer at Saha, went back up the mountain to get your Moon Pearl and do Hera, but didn't go into Eastern, and did Pod instead. And I feel like it just meant that you kept away from desert for a long time. And honestly, I think it was with good reason. You had a book sitting there behind 6 pod smalls. So, nothing in desert was going to be logical at that point. You talk about those decisions for a second.
Well, yeah, I ended up going to Eastern immediately after pod. Or actually, no, before pod. I did it before I went into pod.
Okay.
Because the way I was looking at it is I knew where Pearl was.
But you hit Swamp.
I
know. You went to Swamp without the small key, and that's what I was thinking about. But yeah, Eastern.
Yeah. So I did that. I only did that because the amount of times I've done like the SGL races and like Hammer was in Swamp first chest or like one of those first chests, or I've done across keys where one item was there, and I'm thinking, I got my Dark World access. I decided to do Hype Cave over to Did Game first, so I'm like, I'm already here. Let me just check that first chest. That's the only reason I went in. I lost maybe 30 seconds doing that. I don't think that's a big loss for a risk of something major. So I do all of that Southside Dark World, and then at that point, I knew I could go and do all of Eastern because I got Big Key from Eastern and some of Pod. So I went to Pod, or went Eastern first to do that. I went Dark World to Pod and then went to Eastern at Pod entrance to then maybe get a bid key or a small key or something else for Pod, since I could full clear it. I think the routing was, in my opinion, I think my routing was great. Just the layout of items was not on my side. Early game, there was a lot outside of dungeons, and I rushed a lot of dungeons early in reality. And then late game, I punished myself because there was nothing in dungeons early, so I kept doing overworld late game, and all the stuff was in dungeons late game. So pretty much the opposite gamble of what I was doing, or routing what I was doing, is where the items were. But I feel like my routing for what I had was the most optimal for getting chests in the best amount of time. It just didn't pay out with the randomizer.
Okay. How'd you get... question for both of you. Turtle Rock Big Key in Turtle Rock. In Chain Chomps. that was pretty interesting.
I was a little upset about it because I think at that point all I had left was my failed attempt at bomb jump chests and desert chests. So I figured there's got to be at least one big key in Turtle Rock anyway.
Sure.
So I knew I had to go in there, whether it's a double dip. So finding that one in there, it was great, but I wasn't really like frustrated or anything because there wasn't many other options left for me at that point.
Taka?
Yeah, I thought it was great because, going into TR without the big key, like, you have to double dip it later and it's annoying. But then, hey, I can beat the dungeon now. Awesome.
And of course, did either of you consider if you hadn't found the big key, like you're not going to do this once you find the big key, but, one option is to go onto that Turtle Rock Bridge, go back in, take a death, so you can save scum the lava chest. Were either one of you considering something like that if the big key doesn't show up?
If this were early game, if it's early game, I'll consider save scumming. But by the time I'm late game and I have like 4 checks left outside of TR, save scumming is not really the biggest thing on my mind.
If TR had literally nothing else progression-wise, then yeah, I probably would have done that. Just because there were so few locations left.
Yep, that makes sense. Yep. Yeah, and it turned out, the one, actually, in some ways it was more than just one, but Scrub, you found the Master Sword in the big chest of ice, which Hitaka had to skip because he didn't have the big key to Ice Palace when he went in there. But in the end, 2 swords popped right in a row over in the mire area, and the tablets were nothing, so... that was like one of the big advantages that you could have had.
Honestly, I was ecstatic when that came up because I'll never forget my first tournament race I was streamed in was Fighter Sword, like all the way up to Ganon. We got to Ganon with just Fighter Sword, and it was like a Master Sword search, and I'm like, no. Anytime I'm in a race, all I want is Master Sword, and I get so relieved once I find a Master Sword. I'm like, any other swords will be great, but I just really need to find a Master Sword early. So that was really nice to find there.
And of course, Hitaka, you missed that. So you were on Fire Sword really late. How were you feeling when you finally got those 2 swords, Checkerboard and in Misery Mire?
When I got the Master Sword in Checkerboard, let's go on inventory. But I had silvers and like a buttload of potions, so I wasn't too worried about the Ganon fight. And then bonus sword in Mire, like 1 item before go mode. So yay.
So yeah, it all worked out.
Yeah, those potions, or just the bottles in general, just add so much, not levity, just allow you so much freedom, basically. Like I think we had 3 potions before we even got Dark World access, or 3 bottles, and like you could run around with 5 hearts Fighter Sword and be fine with that in all of Dark World. So that was really nice to have as well.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about any of my Fighter Sword boss fights at all because of that.
Yeah, those couple reds and a blue, yeah. All right. Anything else that either one of you wants to add before we close this out?
I really don't have much. I mean, I said my GGs when I came in. I'm happy with the seed. Normally, like, I'll lose races and I'll be happy if I feel like I played well. And this was one of those times where, despite losing, I enjoyed the seed. I don't feel like I played anything poorly, and it was a fun race.
Taka?
Yeah, I think it was a good seed. It was a pretty close race, so that's nice to see. And good luck to our teammates tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that is tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow at 7. Yep, tomorrow at 7:10. Rematch Shaktool's Digging Game versus Boomer Friendly. Aussie versus Leviticus. So looks like that's going to be over on SpeedGaming 4. And yeah, before I read the schedule, thank you to our runners. If you are, I will say it again, if you aren't already following them, please do so. Go ahead and go through the schedule here. We have a couple of day matches tomorrow, which is always fun. At 1 o'clock or 1:10, all these are really 10 minutes. We'll just say 1:10. At 1:10, we have Team Jaime versus the Noble Foxes. That'll be Ravis versus Hayfield Bay. At 3:10, we have Did You Check Your Boot versus the Sexy Ganons. That'll be Rampant Revenant versus Freddy. At 7:10, we have the aforementioned rematch with Aussie and Leviticus going, but we also have the Spoilers versus the Bomb Squad. That'll be Zelgadison versus Adirondack Rick. At 9:40, we have a couple of matches. The Frozen Leftovers versus the Titans Mists. That'll be Mystic versus Relkin. At the same time, we have I Like Big Boots versus Crosswords Key Sandies. That'll be Ganon's Gone Wild versus Paradox. At 10:10, we have Swirly Coin Brewing versus the Skull Kids. Homemade Beer versus Gamachu, and not assigned as a channel yet, but could be getting a channel at some point. We have at 11:10 the Immortals versus New Swagger Jackson. That'll be James FNX versus Wallkicks. So lots of Link to the Past to watch tomorrow for all your viewing pleasure. But I'd like to also thank my co-commentator Dane, and especially our tracker, Akuhaish, who did a great job clicking those buttons behind the scenes. Always our MVPs for all these tournaments and leagues. And Dane, I'll let you finish us off.
Yeah, thanks again for everyone who tuned in. Definitely, like Tracy said, give our runners a follow. Also, make sure to follow the SpeedGaming channels 1 through 6, or I guess no SpeedGaming with nothing than 2 through 6. But to be able to catch these matches, we got a lot of them coming up.
All right, so we will, yeah, and also the ALTTPR League channels. But yeah, we'll see you all tomorrow.